Welcome to the Bothell City Council regular meeting of February 5th, 2019. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All council members are here. Meeting agenda approval. So I have a couple of items due to the weather and just it's going to get icier later. We made a decision to not have the consultant come to do the city manager's evaluation tonight. She lives far away, so we're going to I'd like to postpone that if everybody else is okay with that. She is not here, so, okay. That'd be kind of a bad thing to do that without her. And then the other one, I was curious if other people were interested, is AB 19-021. It'd be a lengthy discussion about the council goals scorecard, basically kind of the work plan for the city for 2019. And I was hoping maybe we could do that a different night just so we can get home earlier than later due to weather. You agree? Okay, we're good. Okay, so those are two items are pulled. Is there any other changes to tonight's agenda? Councilmember Zorns?
This is where I would pull a consent item. It's just to ask a question. It's for AB 19015.
Okay, 19015 is pulled. Any other changes to tonight's agenda? We're good. Okay, review of public engagement opportunities. There we go. Open house. Puget Sound Regional Council is seeking comments on the draft supplemental environmental impact statement for Vision 2050, Monday, March 18th, 4 p.m. at the Bothell Police Community Room. Visit www.prsc.org for more information. That's it. Okay. All right, now we have a proclamation. So I'm going to come down to the podium. And Jace Keith, will you join me? That will be straight over here. Okay, so this is a wordy one, so hang in there. Okay, this proclamation is for Black History Month, whereas Black History Month is observed in February of each year, and whereas Black History Month seeks to emphasize Black history and its cultural contributions to American life, and is designed to recognize and pay tribute to the many contributions of African Americans to the history, society, and culture of the United States of America. And whereas Black History Month celebrates the achievements of African Americans in the arts, civil rights, education, entertainment, government, history, law, literature, medicine, military, music, everything, politics, science, sports, and other endeavors. And whereas Black History Month affords special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black heritage and to honor the many Black leaders who have contributed to progress of our nation. And whereas such knowledge can strengthen and incite it's this typo, can strengthen the insight of all our citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that have been made to the crusades and eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups, and to continuing struggle against racism, racial discrimination, and poverty. Now, therefore, I, Andrew John Rayum, the mayor of the city of Bothell, designate the month of February 2019 as Black History Month. And I have a very special guest here today, Jace Keith. Am I getting Jace right? Yeah. Nice to meet you. He's a Bothell High School student. He had a couple words to say. This is for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a couple words to say?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I'm extremely grateful to have this opportunity to receive this award. And that group of people right there with all of their phones out, I'm extremely grateful for every single one of them, because I wouldn't be in a position like this without them at all. I'm grateful for my teacher, who's on the end of the middle row there, Miss Fee, for being my leadership advisor, because I've learned more about leadership and service and loving others through her than anyone else. So I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for this opportunity and everyone who's made this possible. So thank you.
Did you want to add to that, Councilmember Rokoloff?
Thank you. And
I am so privileged to have all of you here today. But Jason, one of the things you said, Jazz, is it Jazz? Did I say it right? Jason, one of the things you said tonight is that someone was in your corner. Superintendent John Stanford, who was the superintendent of Seattle School District for many years, always said that. Someone has to be in your corner. And if they are, you can make all kinds of great progress. So thank you for recognizing that.
Councilmember McNeil?
Yes, I also want to thank you for being here and sharing your story at the Martin Luther King Assembly at Bothell High School. That was a very compelling and moving story. And with you standing up and sharing that story with others, they'll understand on how we can work together and make sure that our cultures are looked after together. So very proud of you on that. And I also want to say shouts out to the city and recognize the diversity committee that we have within our city walls here and the work that they're doing. A lot of different special things are coming out. I look forward to hearing from more members of our community. They're doing special things like you are, Jace, within the school. And I look forward to seeing you guys stepping up and becoming the future leaders that we need. So thank you very much.
And that's not, your teacher's name is Sid Swenson, right? Yeah. She went to Bothell High with me. We just got it marked as what age we are. Anyway, so moving on. City manager, council committee reports. We have a couple items of business to take care of during this part, but is there any committee reports first? Nope, they're all snowed out. One of them is to appoint me to serve on the Sound Transit I-405 Bus Rapid Transit Elected Leadership Group and the 522 Northeast 145th Bus Rapid Transit Elected Leadership Group. I can give you guys reasons why if you'd want to know them, but unless anybody curious to why? Okay, nobody cares. Everybody okay with me to be on those? All right, cool. All right, so isn't there a table of the committee assignments, and Deputy Mayor, you asked for that? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if anyone else was interested in serving on the ETP. I'm interested in going as an alternate, but I've got a lot on my plate, and I'm trying to be reasonable as far as expectations for myself. So that was one I thought I could maybe step down and let someone else have an opportunity to be on that. It meets on the second Friday of every month. Councilmember McNeil's the vice chair now, so I know Bothell's got it covered, but I thought I'd raise that as an opportunity for someone else if they wanted to serve, and I can be an alternate.
I guess I'll throw my hat in and say I would be happy to serve.
Do we know who the alternates are right now?
I am an alternate,
You're an alternate? And
It's on a Friday, though, Councilmember
but
McCall.
it's early in the morning.
Okay, you're okay.
See?
All right, just making sure.
7:30.
Know your schedule.
I know you know my schedule.
Anyway, so it looked like we had two people interested.
Oh, two? I'm sorry.
No, it's a Councilmember Olson was also interested, so I don't know how we
If that
do
works,
with.
if that works for you, I'm okay.
All right,
There you go.
yeah, as the other alternate,
Okay.
so.
Councilmember McNeil.
Thank you. So I don't know if now's appropriate time to bring this up, but I know Liam is also serving on Seashore, and I also wanted to bring up, do we want to talk about serving on committees in Snohomish County? So if we want to talk about that at this time, or do we want to bring that back later? But if McAuliffe, if Councilmember McAuliffe is already on ETP as a alternate, maybe moving her into the role of member, and then having Liam as the alternate. I'm just throwing this out. Liam, would that free you up to maybe do another committee in Snohomish County, or do you even want to entertain that? I want to talk about at some point as a council, do we want to be involved more in Snohomish County as well? So just a thought.
So let's recommend that let's table that for now, because we don't have the list of Snohomish County. We do have two council members. Do we need to take that to a vote, or you guys, I can't tell which one of you is going to do it at this point.
I'll let Councilmember McAuliffe do it, and then Councilmember McNeil and I will discuss Snohomish County committees that
sounds good.
he's thinking about.
Sure. If that is your intention, I should serve now and then as a Snohomish County, is that what you're saying?
Yep.
I'm trying to clarify. Yeah. Okay. I'm good with that.
All right. Everybody okay with that? Rosemary, or Councilmember McCall, sorry, is the ETP representative. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys taking over for me.
All right. Moving on to the, do you have the list of Snohomish County? Do you have that prepared?
Absolutely do.
Oh,
There you go. Good job.
all right.
So there's several committees that would be available. Do you want me to go through the whole list here, Mayor?
It's kind of, do we have ones that we have interlocal agreements with that we should be assigning as a council to council members to represent the city?
Yeah, I think it would probably be best to get this list out to the council as a whole. Let us take a look at it and see which ones to prioritize for the best for the city. So
Right, so let's table it still. Okay.
Yep.
And then we'll have city manager look at whether or not there are actual interlocal agreements in place that we need to include them in our committees.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Visitor comments. So each person addressing the council will give his or her name in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless the council grants further time, shall limit their address to 3 minutes. No person other than the council and the person having the floor will be permitted to enter into any discussion either directly or through a member of the council without the permission of the mayor. And I have sign-up sheets. The first one is Mike Rue.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Mike Rue. I'm a board member and previous chair of the Bothell-Kenmore Chamber of Commerce. I'm here on behalf of the chamber and its almost 400 members to express our gratitude for the city's ongoing support of our chamber and the Bothell Visitor Center. Our chamber has had the pleasure of serving as the city's official visitor center for over 10 years. By your support of the visitor center, you are supporting our local business community. It is our pleasure to greet hundreds of guests each year who are visiting Bothell, or are new to the area, or are considering relocation, or are looking for a new adventure. Our chamber staff takes the time to share information and answer questions about our town and provide resources of many kinds, from methods of transportation, maps to local amenities, driving directions to our area's many attractions. In addition to assisting walk-in guests, we also help those who call our office or send us requests for online for local resources. We regularly mail custom packets of information to those about our community who wish to visit or relocate in our area. In 2018, with the city's support, we were able to move the visitor center from Country Village to Main Street, just a block that way. We are excited and grateful for this opportunity. This larger, more visible and accessible location is allowing us to better serve our community and promote our local tourist attractions, our hotels, restaurants, shops, businesses, parks, trails, and more. In support of our efforts to serve the city of Bothell as your visitor center, at the end of last year, we also launched a new website with dedicated pages about the visitor center and tremendous local resources regarding visiting Bothell, living in Bothell, and doing business in Bothell. If you have not visited our website, we invite you to do so at bothellkenmorechamber.org. We want to express our deep appreciation for your ongoing support of our chamber and the Bothell Visitor Center. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Shauna Pitts.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I am Shauna Pitts, and I am the General Manager of Country Inn and Suites Hotel here in Bothell. I am also on the LTAC committee, and I have the distinction of being the longest tenured LTAC member since the day when we actually decided to create LTAC here for Bothell, which is going on about 20 years. In that time, we have done a lot of great things. We started off with community grants, little things from one of the most recent has been like the lights on the tree in Main Street. We would entertain other community grants back in the early days. We've morphed that process as we have grown in funding over the years with the addition of hotels from when I first started back here in 1996. The funds have grown, the hotels have grown. We have now 9 hotels, which is a lot for the city of Bothell, but it is amazing. We have lots of opportunity. And in addition to that, with LTEC funds, we have seen things like two-day events like the UW Bothell Block Party. We kicked off the Bothell Brew Fest that we now have in October here. We have moved the Main Street, as Mike Rue just mentioned, moved our visitor center down to Main Street. And we have done some very large marketing and advertisement campaigns to bring tourists to Bothell, and we are about to embark on a new journey here. So I'm here to thank you for your support in advance of our spending plan. The spending plan is very exciting to me as a hotelier because it comes with a guaranteed return on investment. And not many things come with a guaranteed return on investment, and this will. So I look forward to Danae, who has spent a ton of work on this for LTAC, for her presentation to you. And I just wanted to say thank you for supporting your hotels through this spending plan. With this new marketing plan, we used to say, bring the visitors here to explore Bothell, and now we're going to start with Begin at Bothell. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for your service. 20 years is a long time. Julia Johansson, did I get that right?
So, hi, my name's Juliette Johansson. I've been doing business here in Bothell for about almost 13 years now, and I just have a couple questions. I heard that the B&O tax is on the table to be raised, and I'm wondering if that's true. Can I ask questions?
You can ask questions, but we as a council, we don't answer questions at the diocese for public comment, so you get to come up and speak your opinion about things. And if you have questions you want to answer, we direct you to the city manager from the dais.
Okay. And then I guess most of my comments are questions, right? Because I just wanted to know if the city was raising the B&O tax on small business, or if it was a consideration. So how would I?
Can you change those questions into concerns?
I'm concerned that that city is going to raise the B&O tax on small businesses in the city of Bothell. It's getting hard to do business for small businesses, you know, with additional taxes, the minimum wage, you know, we've had to raise that up to meet Seattle standards. And, you know, when you have only 3 or 4 employees, an additional tax becomes a burden to where you almost have to close your doors. So my questions are pretty financial, and I guess I need to speak to somebody that can answer these concerns. So, I'm at the wrong meeting.
No, you're fine. So the city manager, she'll catch you after you're done with your comments, and she'll give you her business card, and you can talk to her, and she'll answer all your questions.
Could you please?
She's right there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. That's the end of the sheets that I have for the people that gave public comment. Does anybody else want to give a public comment? Go once, twice, said nothing. Don't even want to say hi after our 25, whatever years. All right. Moving on. So the consent agenda, is there, one item's been pulled from the consent. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilmember McNeil to approve the consent agenda minus AB 19-015. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, place your vote. Passes unanimously. The item pulled, AB 19-015, 2019 purchase and replacement of a new city vehicles through the Columbia Ford of Longview via Washington State Department of Enterprise Service Master, wow, contracts usage agreement. That's nice. All right, Councilmember Zorns.
Well, it's a question because I know the public is aware of that we had to pull our one surplus patrol car back into service when one of our cars was totaled this fall. And so I guess my question is, and it's just a question of curiosity, concern. In these surplus cars, do we have any of these cars marked out to be not surplus but kept on reserve?
We look at them on a case-by-case basis, where right now, it will be quite some time before the police vehicles in particular are here.
Like 2020?
Right, so at that point, we'll see if the police department has a need to keep some held back in order for us to use them while we're ordering additional vehicles. You'll see an item in the near future where we talk about the 2020 orders, because since there is such a lag, we are going to try to order things as soon as possible. And we have already ordered the replacement for the vehicle that was totaled, so that hopefully will be here a little before this particular batch.
So one way or another, we'll be able to restore our backup vehicles, either through the ones that are being retired here.
We try not to keep the surplus vehicles, since we've already determined that they're at their useful life. But when we need to, in order to keep us fully vehicled in the intervening times, we will hold some back.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? How about a motion? You gotta say the whole title, though.
Everyone's looking at me.
I
Okay.
can't make a motion.
I move that we approve the 2019 purchase of replacement and new city vehicles through Columbia Ford of Longview via Washington State Department of Enterprise Services Master Contracts Usage Agreement.
I'll second that. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing, no, he's good. Seeing none, place your vote. Passes unanimously, and we are on to boards and commissions, AB 19-018, 2019 Tourism Spending Plan and Contract with StreetSense Consulting. Danae, you go ahead, take it. And thank you for coming from New Jersey. Is that you? You might be the whole reason why we had a meeting. Maybe. I'm sorry. That's not your fault.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council. On behalf of the Bothell Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be here this evening. Before I begin, I would like to introduce those members of the Bothell Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. Of course, we have Councilmember Zorns, and then you met Shauna Pitts earlier, who is, as she mentioned, been with LTAC since inception. Also on the committee is Chip Peterson. He's the General Manager of Hilton Garden Inn. Hilton Garden Inn. Also, Jordan Variano from Residence Inn. Brittany Caldwell, the Executive Director of the Bothell Kenmore Chamber of Commerce. We have Nancy Pipinich from State Farm on Main Street, and also on Main Street we have Eric Schaefer from the Hop and Hound. Okay, this evening we will be talking about 2018 tourism highlights, the 2019 spending plan, and the contract with StreetSense. Both of those two last items we're requesting that Council consider adopting this evening. By RCW law, there are three ways that the hotel motel tax dollars can be spent. Also by RCW law, the makeup of LTAC has to be a very specific definition, and that includes a member of the council from your city, as well as at least 2 hoteliers and at least 2 recipients of the LTAC funding. In our case, we use all 3 ways to to fund LTAC. And the three ways that we can spend our funding is through marketing and advertising to people that live 50 miles away or more. Also on events or activities that bring or draw people from 50 miles away or more. And for the operations of tourism facilities such as convention centers and visitor centers. As I mentioned, Bothell uses all three of these, but the majority of it is spent on marketing and advertising. In fact, about 85% of our funding goes toward that. "2018 was a busy year for LTAC with new staff, a new consulting team, a spending plan of $390.15, and there were 4 primary objectives: to drive more visitors to Bothell using the current Explore Bothell brand, to grow the Explore Bothell e-newsletter database and social media following, increase brand awareness and exposure, and to begin funding a competitive grant program. Our objectives were executed by the 9 following marketing strategies: brand visual and messaging, photography, a social media program, monthly e-newsletters, online event calendars, website maintenance and content, advertising and publicity, sip and stay programs, and our partnership with Woodinville Wine Country. So we'll begin with the brand visuals and messaging. We have extended the current Explore Bothell brand through both visuals and messaging. This is reflected in our website, our social media program, digital advertising, and printed collateral. With the new brand and website currently under development, our approach has been to improve awareness and implement key programs such as our Sip and Stay package, which I'll talk a bit more about in a bit. Here's a sampling of some of the great headlines we used across all marketing channels. They're fresh, accessible, authentic, and welcoming. So one of the headlines we used in our digital advertising was 2 towns plus 100 wineries equals 1 unforgettable weekend. There's life after the mall, it's on Main Street, and where weekends become getaways. And this here is a print ad that we did in Woodinville Wine Country, Sip and Stay, where weekends become getaways. It could change your life or at least your weekend just once. Reserve 2 or 3 days of nothing but food, wine, and wandering. Sip in Woodinville, stay in Bothell, and savor all the local flavors in between. We started the year with a limited inventory of photographs, and we've spent a lot of time this year building that library. We've done hundreds of professional photo shoots with new images. We've attended city celebrations, including Main Street. We did stage photo shoots at McMinimans and down at the park at Bothell Landing and also on Main Street. We did seasonal shoots where we took advantage of the wonderful fall colors. And then we've started doing photo shoots at the Bothell hotels where we're working to build images that match the new brand and website that we'll be launching here in the spring. We launched a completely new social media strategy. It takes a lot of work to post original content on all social media platforms 6 days a week. The engagement is up significantly, as you can see, and in fact, we hit a record reach on Facebook in July of 300,000, and we also launched Instagram for the first time this year. So you can see that our fans are up from 0. We're now at 1,500, which is amazing for the first year. Our Facebook likes are also up, as well as our Twitter fans. The monthly e-newsletter to our subscriber base included original content and compelling design featuring local and regional features with partner links and calls to action. So you can see the little call to action in the blue box there. Below autumn is for awesome, and that would be the subscriber's opportunity to either click to our website or to one of our partner websites for more information. We're really working hard to establish ourselves as the go-to resource for events and happenings in and around Bothell. And as you can see, we curated over 682 local and regional events to the Explore Bothell website and our Facebook page. This leads to relationships with our tourism partners, and as you can see, these are actual events that are on the website and that are coming up. So I encourage you to check it out and attend some of those events. Back-end maintenance and updates of content pages included replacing older static web pages with fresh, relevant content and images. Constantly updating the directory of tourism-related partner listings and landing pages for digital advertising campaigns was also a priority. The big number here to note is that traffic to the website grew from 4,084 sessions in 2017 to 38,662 sessions in 2018. We dedicated $60,000 in 2018 to paid digital advertising through Google Pay-per-click and our Facebook, Instagram ads. We also dedicated some funds to print advertising in Woodinville Wine Country Magazine and Scenic Washington. We earned media when a staff person at Alaska Airlines Magazine saw one of our organic social media posts highlighting the new City Hall gallery showing of Bothell resident and artist Dennis Wunsch. That led to the staff at Alaska reaching out to Dennis and inviting him to tell his experience in being a resident at Bothell. He also provided a wonderful illustration that you can see a bit of here, and you can see that illustration right there next to the photo of Betsy. Dennis's article was featured in the October issue and was available for all domestic Alaska airline travelers. Our Sip and Stay program began as the Sip and Stay package created a number of years ago that leverages our sponsorship with Woodinville Wine Country with a focus on driving hotel stays at our 9 Bothell hotels and 1 bed and breakfast. In 2017, the package included special discounted rates at our hotels with free tastings at a small selection of Woodinville wineries. In 2018, that package grew substantially in value when the contract with Woodinville Wine Country added 100 of their Woodinville Wine Country passports, which is good for 1 full year and includes complimentary tastings to over 45 wineries, distilleries, and breweries. 2 passports currently retail for $100 at Costco. This year, the contract with Woodinville Wine Country includes 200 passports that will combine again with special deals at our hotels and bed and breakfast. There are 2 passports in each package for a total of 100 packages that we'll have available this year. The way it works is someone sees a digital ad on Facebook or Instagram. They contact the hotel to find out more about the Sip and Stay rate, book the room, and then receive the package. And here's a little quick view of the package when they arrive at the hotel. And then this is what the Woodinville Wine Country passport looks like. So these passports are absolutely free when you stay at one of our Bothell hotels. And on top of that, you get a discount. So this is really a great, wonderful deal. And we've leveraged these packages into a Sip and Stay program. So we did a contest during the summer months where we invited people to give us their email address so that we could build our database for our monthly e-newsletters. And they were entered to win a contest for airfare for 2 to Seattle, a 2-night hotel stay, a restaurant gift card and discount, 2 passports for wine tasting, and then Lyft transportation. As a result of this contest, we were able to increase our subscriber base by 2,230. In 2017, our sip and stay package really only generated between 9 and 11 passports that, or packages that were given to hotels. And in 2018, we were able to increase that to 45. And then we partnered with Woodinville Wine Country and their annual event called St. Nick's Weekend, which is the first weekend in December, to turn that into a sip and stay opportunity. So not only did we gain an additional 9 nights in our hotel, but we also helped sip and stay increase their number of people that signed up to take part in St. Nick's. So our partnership with Woodinville Wine Country is very important to us. The contract allows for Bothell Hotels to be Woodinville's official stay partner. So that's where you sip in Woodinville, but you stay in Bothell. It also includes a suite of valuable assets. We get this year 200 tasting passports, visibility at their events, printed collateral, and then we partner with them on our digital outreach campaign. So here is actually one of our digital ads that people that live 50 miles away or more would see on Facebook or Instagram. And it says, unwrap the perfect holiday getaway with hotel discounts, free Woodinville Wine Country, St. Nick's, tickets and more. Sip, stay, and celebrate. In addition to the objectives and many goals achieved in 2018, a very important and ongoing goal is our continued partner relationships with area tourism businesses and owners, as well as the Bothell Kenmore Chamber of Commerce. We have a great relationship with our hotel sales managers as well as their marketing directors. In fact, we meet quarterly with the marketing directors of the hotels to talk about upcoming events, activities, ways that we can help promote hotels. We partner with local marketing directors at various restaurants in town as well as shops. We have a great relationship with regional tourism partners, Snohomish County Tourism Board, as well as Visit Seattle. We've been partnering with UW Bothell and Cascadia College on several projects with them. And then we have our media partners, Scenic Washington and Woodinville Wine Country. So the second way that LTAC dollars can be spent is on events and activities that encourage overnight stays in our hotels. We achieved this by launching a competitive grant program in 2017 for the 2018 year, where area groups applied for funding to help promote their event or activity with the caveat that they encourage guests to stay in our Bothell hotels and bed and breakfast. In addition to some really amazing new events occurring, it also resulted in approximately 322 overnight stays in Bothell hotels, primarily occurring from the UW Block Party and the Tibetan Family Picnic that brought in Tibetan families from as far south as California and as far north as Canada. We have 3 two-day events we are funding in 2019. They include the UW Block Party and Brewfest, a new wine block party, and Utsav Mila will be extending their South Asian Carnival from 1 day to 2 days of festivities. So the final way we may spend LTAC dollars is on operational costs of convention or visitor centers. The relationship we have with the Bothell Kenmore Chamber of Commerce as our official visitor center and having them located on Main Street is vital to the energy and customer support for visitors of Bothell. If you haven't had a chance to see their space yet, I encourage you to check it out. They've done an amazing job creating a welcoming visitor center with images and pamphlets outlining the many assets of the community. We also created some wayfinding signs directing people off the Sammamish River Trail to downtown Bothell shops and restaurants, and we have 2 additional welcoming signs coming this year. We also dedicate funds for the downtown holiday lights in and around Main Street as well, and we'll be continuing that in 2019 as well. So So that concludes the 2018 accomplishments for tourism here in Bothell. We'll now move on to the next portion of the presentation where we discuss Council's consideration to adopt the 2019 spending plan of $499,899 and the contract with StreetSense for $265,600. And that contract for $265,600 is built into the spending plan of $499,899. Notice the new logo and the new colors at the top of the screen. All right, we'll talk more about that in a minute. So the spending plan for 2019, as we mentioned, there's 3 ways that we can spend our funding. And the cream color that you see on the page is tied to tourism marketing. We dedicate, as I mentioned earlier, about 85% of our funding to tourism and marketing and advertising. You'll also notice that at the top we have our marketing tool enhancements, we have our expenditures, and then we have the StreetSense consulting scope of work. So if there's a description there, that is tied to StreetSense and that contract with them. So we begin with StreetSense building monthly communication content with a focus on targeted audiences, tone, look and feel consistent with the new brand. This is their playbook and their monthly calendar that keeps the entire brand consistent for $7,000. Also with StreetSense, we have creative services. This is the leadership and guidance for the development of a video that will sit on the new website. Photography, so we can continue increasing that inventory, as well as some miscellaneous design and copy costs. Print ads, for example, could be dedicated to that for $48,000. StreetSense will also be managing the social media posts and the blogging that is defined by the content calendar for $38,000. And they'll be doing the e-newsletter, including copy, design, coding, deployment, remails, and testing for $33,000. And this year, we are really ramping up our paid advertising. In 2018, we dedicated $60,000 to an older brand and a very old website, which has, by the way, a very high bounce rate. And the bounce rate is when somebody sees one of our ads and they click on it and they go to our website, they see kind of an old, tired website, despite all of the work we've done to making the content more visually pleasing and having great editing. But the truth of the matter is that bounce rate is at 70% right now, and that's why it's so important that we update our new website, because that will change with this new fresh look as well as with the video that we're going to be producing. So we're going to be dedicating $108,000 to paid digital advertising, and that's something that LTAC is really interested in continuing to increase year over year. StreetSense will also be managing the technical maintenance of the website and any page updates for the year. We've also set aside $4,000 for the printing of the map. If you're familiar with the map, that's something that we've done every year. It's something that our hotels rave about. They hand that over to all of our visitors. And the map really highlights all of the wonderful assets for tourism in and around Bothell. We've also dedicated $16,000 for a potential project or a potential contract with a company called Bandwango. They specialize in they specialize in packages and deals of different tourism activities around that we can put on the new website. So it's just going to increase that opportunity for people to see special deals and then click and just have access to those. And it'll really benefit all of our tourism assets in the area as well. And then we have $34,800 dedicated to the current website and current advertising that we're doing until the new website and the new brand launches in the spring of this year. So that subtotal under marketing tool enhancements is $291,805. Also under tourism marketing, we have our contract with Woodinville Wine Country. This gives this partnership for $17,000 gives us that official designation as their official stay partner. It also provides us with those 200 passports that I mentioned earlier. So the green area here represents that portion of the RCW law that says that we can spend money on events and activities that bring in overnight stays. And for 2019, we are dedicating $20,000 to those 3 projects that I mentioned. And the next final 3 here is in blue, and that represents the operations and facility support for tourism. We have our wayfinding, the 2 final welcome signs that we'd like to do on the Sammamish River Trail for $13,899. We have $10,000 dedicated for the holiday lights, and we also have $31,000 dedicated to the chamber to be the official visitor center on Main Street for a subtotal of $91,899. Back to tourism marketing, we have the strategy for management, and this first amount here for $28,600 is part of the StreetSense contract for coordination and facilitation of the content calendar, the website, the e-newsletter, the social and paid consumer engagement plan. And then finally, we have $85,395 for the tourism manager, and this is for 70% of salary and benefits for that position, for a subtotal of $113,995. And then we've got some minor miscellaneous costs and a grand budget of $499,899. All right, so Bothell has reserves, the LTAC program has reserves, and this is a separate reserve fund than the general fund. And that is tied to the fact that the funds can only be spent in those 3 ways that I've been mentioning. So we started 2018 with a beginning reserve fund balance of $849. And we have year-to-date revenue of $342,814. Now, the sales tax that comes in for hotel motel is on a 2-month lag, so we're still waiting for the revenue for November and December, but we estimate that to be about $57,000. And then we had our 2018 expenditures on December 31st of $479,619. So we're looking at an estimated fund balance of $761,97. And then looking at 2019, we begin the estimated fund balance of 2019 with the same that we left it in 2018 for $761,97. We have a revenue forecast for 2019 of $450. We have a total LTAC spending plan for this year of $499,899. And we have some remaining expenses tied to the contract with StreetSense for the new brand and the new website. So StreetSense was hired a year ago to work on that new brand and new website. So that total amount was $200,000. They've spent down about 100 of that, so we still owe them $100,000, and we'll be paying that as we continue to build the website, which we are planning to launch in the spring of this year. So we'll be planning, we're estimating an ending fund balance at the end of 2019 of $603.41. Okay? All right, well, that concludes that portion of the presentation, and now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Ralph Thompson. He's the Executive Director of Travel and Tourism for StreetSense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danae. This one right here? Yay, it works. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. And I'd like to cover with you a little bit of how we arrive at our guarantee and return on marketing for your investment. It starts with being informed by consumers and understanding that at the end of the day, we can raise awareness of the brand and get consumers engaged. But at the end of the day, it's very important what consumers say to other consumers, because word of mouth is the most important thing in today's world. So there's a whole strategy about how you go about gaining awareness and moving the communications and the engagement through the decision funnel as to where to visit. And we've been doing this with over 250 destination websites over the last 20 years. So it starts with good information and knowledge. We started with, first of all, 3 stakeholder sessions And those took place, a long time ago now. They took place about 9 months ago, and many of you participated in that. And what we wanted to do there was to get the insights of the stakeholders and understand what they think makes the community click and what they think are the attributes that they can actually deliver on with consumers in the marketplace. The second step was to use technology that we have known as Digimind, and what it does is go on online where conversations are originated about the brand, and to understand what the sentiment of the conversation is. So we are informed by consumers, of which about 85% of planning and decision-making for a trip occurs in the online space today. And then the final step was to take all of that knowledge that we gained from the stakeholders and from the listening sessions, and then go out and have an independent survey done, which enables us to understand what the consumers think, because that's the most important voice for us to follow. And so we did that, and that occurred to consumers in a 250-mile radius. We had 453 responses from that panel survey, and we asked questions about awareness, both unaided and aided awareness, about the makeup of the consumers, about what they seek in a vacation, and then how they think that Bothell will be able to deliver on that. And from all of that work that we do, and that's actually conducted independently by Texas A&M's Department of Resources and Tourism, and they are known as the #1 researcher in the country for travel and tourism. So they come back and tell us what are the real core attributes that are going to resonate with the target audience. What we learned is that there's groupings of attributes that can resonate with the consumer. Easy value, you see there, which is feeling safe, ease of access, affordable lodging, comfort, slow pace, relaxing. Those are groups of attributes that the consumers told us that they seek in a destination getaway. Urban activity, which is grouped there, you can see on that slide. Beverage experiences, certainly in this area of the country, in the 250-mile radius, there's a keen interest in that. Culture, historical sites, museums, authentic experiences, which is a common thread throughout the country. Outdoors, nature, hiking, parks, activities, those are very important in this part of the country. And so when we understood that is what the interests are in the consumer, we were able to look at and organize a significant chunk of those consumers in a 250-mile radius that would actually be interested in a visit to Bothell and an experience, and that we believe we could deliver on. They are broken into 3 categories. We've named those beverage like-it-alls, easy to please, that's target market #1. Outdoor urbans, and they are female driven, predominantly female and city experiences. And then beverage snobs, which are a younger audience with a high level of discretionary income. And that's broken down psychographically. We know how to reach them out of the segment within a 250-mile radius. Gathering all that together and understanding what the brand stands for, this is the new positioning of Bothell, which is begin at Bothell. All of the wonderful things that you can do here and experience, it starts here. So we have the opportunity to really engage the consumer, have them be excited about their visit, and then as they move throughout the area, they will remember Bothell as the place that brought them their experience. And then they'll return. And then the most important thing is, remember, I first of all said it starts with what they say to other people. And that's what we want them to do, is to go back and rave about how great their trip was in Bothell. So what you'll see in the spring that launches is a unique new website that translates that brand look and feel into the website. It is a state-of-the-art, technically sound website that will get high ranking with Google and get organic traffic here that hasn't been here in the past, and will get visitors to the site that don't bounce. Your bounce rate should drop by more than 50%, and we should be able to get people to stay here on 3 pages and not bounce on the first page, so that we know that we'll get a more engaged consumer, which then enables us to be able to predict a higher conversion rate. From all of this, we're able to put together a plan that we think in the first year here in making the investment, we believe that we're going to be able to have outreach within that 250-mile radius to be able to deliver $4.7 million in incremental spending, and that's a guaranteed return on your marketing investment of $18 for every dollar invested that you saw that Danae covered. And if that does not happen, which it has not happened in our 20 years, but if that did not happen, then we would be obligated to continue to deliver consumers here at the average visitor party spend rate free of charge, and continue to do that until you did get that return on investment. But that's never happened in our history. We're focused on the 3 profiles that I shared with you: beverage like-it-alls, outdoor urbans, and beverage snobs. And something different, we're going to reach out to 150 miles plus, because what our charge is to get incremental visitors, those that said that our communications influenced them to decide to come to Bothell, and we want to get them to come and stay in paid lodging. So instead of reaching within a 50-mile area, we need to reach out so that we get them to come and stay overnight. And so that's what our focus is going to be over the course of this year, is to really do that. And in addition to that, a dual strategy of trying to intercept traffic that is considering coming to Seattle and position this as a nice place to stay, or at least to come spend a little bit of time here in this unique and attractive area. We have similar clients that have this challenge of being right near a major metropolitan area. 2 of them, one on the Virginia side, one on the Maryland side of a little place called Washington, D.C. And they have the same challenge. People are coming to Washington, and we have dual strategies to be able to intercept those and convince them to come stay in lodging that is safer and more affordable outside of the district. That's what we do there. Kissimmee, Florida is another area that we have the strategy of being able to get people to stay there instead of staying in Orlando and at Disney World. And then there's several other places across the country that we've been successful in doing this. So while we want to reach out and get those consumers in the 150 to 250 mile radius, we want to get them here for what we have to offer. But at the same time, we want to use technology today to intercept those that we think are at the higher end of the planning funnel, thinking about a trip to Seattle, so we can get them to be sure and come here. It's called an intercept strategy. The key to this is, first of all, creating outstanding content that's curated, that's going to really engage the consumer if we reach them in the right way, that's going to get them and motivate them to decide to take a trip here. Engaging and setting the expectation, but delivering on that. The other part of it is to make sure that we reach them with technology that eliminates as much waste as possible. In today's world, we have the capability to do that and to track that. And so as a result of that, you'll see 71,000 new website visitors that we're going to drive, 10,000 additional newsletter subscribers, and these are going to be not in the 50-mile radius, but out 150 to 250 miles. 10 targeted search, targeted social, and targeted native ads, which are like advertorials. We think that that will translate into $496,000 in sales and lodging taxes that will be collected. And that's just from what we're going to hold ourselves accountable for in the program. This program certainly generates more than that in visitor spending and tax revenues, but we only take credit for the incremental amount. We don't take credit for the total amount. So you'll have much more spending than this, but that's what we'll be accountable for. This will generate 3,954 incremental visitor parties. The average size of the party is going to be about 2.5 people. That's what it usually works out to be across the country. And that's going to translate into about 7,300 paid incremental room nights. These are paid nights. About 80% of those that come and travel will stay in paid lodging. The other 20% stay in other places, friends and family. And then if we take that spending of $4.9 million and we apply how that spending translates into the marketplace, that'll balloon up to about $6.8 million in total economic impact from salaries and from spending and from business that's created of other businesses that support the tourism industry. So that will be a significant chunk of money, and this will be good for the start and for the first year. We hope to be able to earn this relationship and to be able to prove it in years to come. I can share with you Fairfax County, which is the Virginia suburb of Washington, D.C., we've had for 13 years. And when they started out, their return on marketing investment was about 20 to 1. And this year it'll be over 100 to 1. So with a sustaining program and continued focus on how we learn and grow this brand and connect with consumers, we're delighted to be able to be a part of this and appreciate your time and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Deputy Mayor.
My most probing question is, have you seen the crows yet?
Yes, we have, and they need to be used. The world needs to know about that.
I just remember you saying that after 3 visits you hadn't seen them yet, and I've noticed them a lot lately, so I was hoping.
We saw them one night while we were here, and we actually have a crow hat now that we have shared on Instagram.
I'm really excited about this program. I sat in on a couple of the sessions and was really, really impressed. And when we had the 3 choices, the Begin at Bothell one gave shivers up my spine. So I'm really excited to see this launch. And it sounds like the guarantee is fabulous, because how often do you get a guarantee?
We're, to my knowledge, we are the only organization in the country that does that. And the reason that we can do that is we've been doing it for 20 years, and I'm a bean counter by training.
Well, thank you for your work. I look forward to seeing the website.
Thank you.
Councilmember McAuliffe.
So I'm not sure if some of these questions would be directed at you or at Danae, but I've been in the wedding business for 30 years in Woodinville, and I know a lot about the corporate market as well as the events coordinators. And I heard you talk a lot about wine and sipping and all of this, but I want to know how you deal with the whole wedding. I do 165 to 175 weddings a year, and that's a lot. And then these people come and stay in our local hotels. So I usually say to them, Bothell is only 15 minutes away from Woodinville. So you need to look at the Bothell hotels. And I have a vendors list as well that tells them what those hotels are. But I've never had anybody from the hotels come and really say, you know, we could partner with you. Those are the kind of things I think are important. In our event facility, we do up to 220 people, and we have Microsoft and Amazon and corporate parties as well. How do you interact with them?
We certainly think that meetings, events, and weddings are a significant chunk of group group tourism. Our focus in the first year is to really get out to the leisure traveler and get those leisure trips. But as we move forward, it's certainly important to be able to look at not only weddings, but SMERF groups, which would be the right kind of groups to accommodate, that this area could accommodate. And we would do that through more of going to the trade shows, which is where you need to be in terms of raising awareness with the decision makers and the influencers. It's more of a B2B transaction rather than a B2C transaction. But I think that that's what we would be doing in the future in terms of focusing on that. And then you want to have on the site, and this website is designed in a way that can accommodate this so that it enables you to do RFPs automatically, and it makes it easy for the decision maker or the influencer to come in and get all of the information that they need that will help them make that decision.
Right, and I've had to redo my website so that there's a business and corporate event piece, there's a, wedding groups, and there also is any local attractions that come along, so they can find all of that, and your website will do that?
It has the capability to do that in the future. It's not initially, but it's built in a way that enables you to facilitate that.
And then I guess my other question is, we have mountains that are really close here, such as Mount Baker, and do you attract people to that kind of activities?
The outdoor group that was in that research, they have the ability to stay here. That's why we say begin at Bothell, so that they can come here, and this is kind of their base camp, and then they can move throughout the area. So we want them captured here. They can go play and have a good time and come back, but we want them to spend most of their money here.
And one last one is that I noticed that one of the big attractions is the University of Washington Block Party. And what I've always thought was important is that University of Washington and Cascadia College have speakers that have educational value. And I don't know that we really promote that very much, but people might come from all over to hear some of the topics and conversations that they might have. Have you had interaction with them as far as like the speakers?
We had people from UW and Cascadia College that we invited to the stakeholder meetings that we initially ran with StreetSense. So we do have those conversations. We also, for instance, list some of the events that they're doing over at McMinimans on our website.
Right.
So we are doing that.
And then one last thing, Danae, and that was, where did I put this down? You said that there was, I circled it here, sorry, an increase in stays, and there was a number.
322?
Yep. So from one year to the next year, what was the increase?
Well, that amount was tied to our grant program, and we launched the program in 2017, but the actual events didn't occur until 2018. So we increased, that was the first year doing it, so we increased hotel nights based on that program by 322 nights.
That was the increase?
Yeah.
In that 1 year?
In that first year.
Right.
So we're anxious to see what those numbers will be for 2019. That's over and above already the people that are staying in Bothell hotels.
Right.
And we're right about, last year we were at about 69% occupancy in our hotels. We've dropped a little bit this year. That's to be expected. We go in 7-year cycles, and we hit the bottom of that last year, so or the top. So now we're kind of in that downward cycle, but I think we'll be able to fix that a bit this year.
So my last question, I thought was the last one, but I guess it's this one. So we have like the 4th of July in Bothell, which draws people from all over to downtown Bothell. We have Halloween, we have the Christmas tree lighting. Do those events make a difference? Do they contribute to tourism?
Unfortunately, not really. They're one-day events. They're 3 or 4 hours. Maybe the 4th of July does a little bit, but according to our hoteliers, they usually don't do very well that weekend. That's why our grant program is really focused on events and activities that do bring in people 50 miles away or more, which is why most of them, and specifically for 2019, those 3 events that we're hosting or that we're sponsoring are more than one-day events.
Right, and that's a good thing to consider when we're talking about that. And I guess I still have one more, sorry. The
Tibetan Family Picnic.
yes, and that did bring in a lot of people. Was that our first year?
It was.
Yeah.
So that's a regional event that they do every year, and every year they pick a new location. So the location for 2018 was actually in the state of Washington. They'll be in another state next
I
year.
see.
So they did not apply for 2019.
So that also brings me to the fact that we have many different cultures within the city of Bothell that maybe probably could have an event that might be over 2 or 3 days that their people would be interested in attending and being part of that tourism.
Yeah. In fact, Utsof Mila applied for funding, and they, as you probably recall, did a one-day event in 2018, but they're actually looking at doing a 2-day event for 2019. So they did receive some funding from LTAC for that project.
Because I guess that would be important to me as well, is to be sure that we encourage diversity in this as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you for your work. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any more questions?
Questions from council? They were good earlier. Yep, they're still good.
All right.
All right, so we have,
So much.
thank you. We've got 2 motions. Let's take them separately, let's take them separately.
I move we approve the 2019 tourism spending plan of $499,899.
Second.
It's moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by, I think, Councilmember Zorns beat you that time. Okay, fine. Seconded by Councilmember Agnew. To approve the 2019 tourism spending plan of $499,899. Any discussion on the motion? Please vote. Did that go? We made a motion. Okay, there we go. Unanimous. All right, did we have another motion?
I move we approve the StreetSense Consulting LLC contract for $265,600.
Second.
There we go. Moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councilmember Zorns to approve the StreetSense Consulting LLC contract for $265,600. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, place your vote. We're missing somebody? There we go. Passes unanimously. All right, thank you. Thanks for coming from New Jersey. Next on the agenda is AB 19-019, 2019 Board and Commission appointments and Council Liaison System. City Clerk, this is your favorite part of the year, right?
My favorite part of the year, yes. So on January 15th, Council interviewed for Board and Commission openings. And tonight, I'm asking you to vote on those openings and ratify that vote. And as part of this agenda, Bill, we're also asking that you look at the council liaison structure for the board and commissions and discuss if you still like that system that we have in place or if you want to try something different. So before you, you have 3 rounds of voting sheets for each board and commission. I gave you 3. Hopefully we don't go over 3 rounds and we can appoint all the board and commission members. I would ask that we do the first round and either move on to the next agenda item while I tally those votes or take a break. And then at the end, once we're done, I would ask that we council ratify those votes.
Okay, so everybody's got their marching order. So round 1, go ahead and just circle. It says,
So they're pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it says circle 2, circle 3, got it right there.
So there are the number of openings and those who applied, so if you would circle the amount of the openings that we have for each. We have 2 openings on Arts Commission, 3 openings on Landmark, 2 openings on Library, 2 openings on LTAC, 3 openings on Parks and Rec, and 3 openings on Planning.
So this is your opportunity to opine or recommend one of these people over the other or anything like that. We used to do that in old days, or we can just vote. But I do have one because I know he wasn't able to make his interview because he was out of the state or whatever. But Brad Pystrip, so he applied for a planning commission seat. I know him personally. His kid and my kid play baseball together, and he's a good guy. He does work for cities, doing the SCADA system, which is not exactly planning, but he understands how cities operate. So I think he'd be a good addition. So while the city clerk does that, we were going to take a picture real quick with Chase. Are you okay with that? To take a picture with us? So council, if you could just come around to the front of the desk, and we'll take a quick picture with him, and then we'll move on to our agenda items and give Laura time to add stuff.
What are these 2 troublemakers do? Oh, that's right, you're coming up.
Well, it's easier when I talk to you. It's like a corner voice.
You are so capable.
Okay, so while the city clerk's doing her thing, the other part of this agenda item was to discuss the liaison system to the boards and commissions, and I believe you guys had a bit of a conversation about this during the council conversations. I was not able to be there, but I guess let's open it up and say, so how do people feel like the current system is working okay? Where are we at? Councilmember Zorns.
You're talking about how can we better do boards and being liaisons with our boards and commissions?
I'm a big fan of if it's not broken, don't fix it. But if
I
it's
like
broken,
it. I like it. What I would love to do is that for whoever's available, like an evening or a Saturday morning, meet with current boards and commission members or ones that have recently retired, and just have a conversation of what matters to you, what's happening with the city, what could we be doing better, and give those boards and commissions a chance to kind of socialize and get to know each other as a bigger kind of family instead of all in their separate rooms. But that's the only modification that I would toss out there is, let's have sometime this year where we all get together and get to know each other and brainstorm a little bit about what they would like different or what they like.
So you'd recommend somewhat of like a, I don't know, planned meeting or?
Yeah,
It'd have to be a public meeting, obviously,
right,
but we'd
right.
just have all the boards and commissions with the
Right.
council?
Right, just, meet and talk and maybe have a few topics to go through.
Okay.
But build some unity and cohesiveness and kind of know where our thinking is and what matters to us as a larger group.
Okay. Councilmember Olson, you would mind if do you have an opinion about how it's going right now with your assignment? Do you like it? Do you think it's working?
I think we give it a little more time with how it's working. I just started on the Landmark Board as the liaison recently, and so I haven't had that much interaction with them yet, but I think I like how it's set up right now, and I think I want to give it a chance to keep working how it is.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
It's not my favorite system, to be honest. I guess I'm torn between thinking the liaison should be however it works for the person who's doing I don't know the verb for it, liaisoning. Sometimes I think maybe just a phone call or a conversation with the chair would be a better use of time than attending the meetings. I have the Planning Commission, so I have the luxury of being able to, since I have so many conflicts on Wednesday night, I get to watch the meetings. My biggest concern is that the boards and commissions don't feel like they're out of the loop and that they aren't kind of operating independently from the council. I guess that's a concern for me, is to make sure that they know that their work is important and in line with where the council's going. So whatever we can do, I think Councilmember Zorn's idea is a good one, just to kind of bring everybody into the fold and make sure it's working at the best it can.
So I was on the Landmark Preservation Board. Now I'm on the Shorelines Board, and I haven't been to the Shorelines Board yet because I don't think they've met yet. Well, I hope they haven't because I haven't been going. I know they had the Shorelines Board 101 meetings, and I didn't go to those because I've been doing shoreline stuff for like 17 years, so I feel pretty confident. I know what's going on there. Do you know the Shoreline Board has met? Okay, good. I haven't missed anything yet. That's good. I think it's going okay. I like the intent behind having the council have a point of contact with the board, and the board is probably aware that they have a contact with the council, direct contact. How, if we have a get together, that would be interesting. It'd be lively, maybe. You haven't been commitments or something. But I don't know if we could do that in a public meeting. But the other side would be, I like what the deputy mayor said too. Like if there's a different way, like do you have to go to every meeting and sit in the audience? Well, maybe not. Maybe if you just contacted the chair, and ask them like, how are things going? What kind of input you need from me? Do you need anything from the council? Do you need direction from the council, or do you want me to, that type of thing? I think that doesn't hurt. I think it just depends on the person, or the relationship between the council member and the chair or the committee. But I guess I haven't really had enough time with it to say whether or not I think it's working or not. I think it's a good gesture that we've made, because before, they've basically been isolated since I've been on council. So, James. Or Councilmember McNeil, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would tend to agree with that. However, I would like to possibly have a meeting with some of our boards and committees, a quarter, bi-yearly, something to where we can hear from them also as well. But I'm okay having the liaisons. I think the liaisons can report back to us during committee reports, and we can gather the majority of the information that we need to have. But I do believe, like hearing from Planning Commission especially, like knowing what they're doing, what's on their docket, just having a general conversation with, parks and arts, I mean, all of the committees for that matter. And maybe it's one big, long meeting or something once a year, but I think, these folks also do a lot of work and volunteering and just, being able to listen to them and hear from them from time to time, from their perspective, might be a good thing.
Councilor McAuliffe.
Thank you. So I think what's really important is that the liaison decides how best they are going to operate with the chair or the person in charge. So just like I attended some park board meetings and then I didn't for a while because I had issues that kind of held me up, but I talked to Nick today and said, what would be best? When should I come? Because there's an appropriate time as you develop a plan and new members come on. And so it's best, I think, if we either have the chair or one person, either from the city or from the board itself and commission, present once a year. What is your plan for the year? What direction are you going? What would you like us to be aware of? Just have them present to us. And then that way we value who they are as well and the contribution they make of their time and their thoughts.
Councilor Agnew.
Well, Danae's been trying to give me a little culture on the Arts Committee, and she's struggling with that. But, I think it's important for us to be at some of these. The library, they don't interact with us very often. Arts doesn't interact with us very often. I think Planning Commission, we talk to a lot. I think some of the other boards that we have conversations with them, and we'd like to have them come up to the council and give us ideas on where they're going and where they want to go. I'm fine with the liaison at this point in time. I think it's in its infancy, and let's see where it goes.
Okay, so I've heard a few things that it might be a good idea just to have them present a work plan to council, or maybe we just do like a package of work plans for each committee. Is that a lot of?
We generally try to do that anyway because
That's what I thought.
Right.
Okay, good. I guess maybe if we roll them all together, then it'll be more obvious. Because I don't think we do that as a group.
We don't. It's the timing of the different boards and commissions. It doesn't mean we couldn't, but.
Okay. So I guess we'll look out for those because those do come up. A group meeting. How does the council feel about doing some sort of group meeting? Not so. Yeah.
You mean like a group happy hour?
Well, Councilmember Zorns can
sure what we're talking
give
about
a little more. This is Councilmember Zorn's concept, so I don't want to put any words in her mouth. Councilmember Zorns.
Well, part of what we were talking about when we were talking about consolidating hours and having boards and commissions meeting on same days, and it was initially being spurred on by saving some money. But one thing that we said that would come out of that is that the different boards and commission members would have a chance to cross paths and talk and have a larger sense of community. And that would be one effect, is if we got together, we would have a larger sense of community, that we're all working together, kind of like our own little staff party, only it's, boards and commissions having their get together. And then we could evaluate some issues like how do you feel communication is going? What are ways that we could improve communicating between city and what you're doing, between council and what you're doing? What are some ways that we can do it? Do you feel like we're talking about down the road having a neighbor person in charge of coordinating neighbors and volunteers? So how, where do you see needs on arts commissions? What kind of needs can you feed into this that the city can better provide? So, there's all sorts of little things that we could have, little talk points, and could start our wheels thinking about things that are coming before the city that we need to be mindful of.
Deputy Mayor.
So I was just trying to understand what it looked like. I guess what I was thinking is rather than a big mashup, maybe we have like a first Friday or something where we have one board or commission interact with whoever's available on city council, and then it's just one group we're talking to at a time. I don't know. That's just a thought. Like some once a month meeting, but it rotates which board and commission, and it's not required, but whoever wants to come and has some burning issue that they want to talk about can show up. I like the idea of interacting more. I mean, honestly, if I passed some people on boards on the street, I probably wouldn't know them. And then I had one question. Do we have a liaison for the library board?
I don't think you selected one,
Okay.
because it's not a board that reports to you. You have the opportunity from King County to have someone, because we have a Bothell branch. Bothell has
Right.
the opportunity to have someone serve on that, but you don't.
And they do actually come often for visitor comment. I was just curious because I was looking at the list and wasn't sure. Thank you.
So may I make a suggestion that if you are a liaison with the board or commission, to just check in with them, the chair or the board or whatever, and just say, like, how are things going? We tried this liaison thing, and is it working for you guys? And then report back to council. Maybe we'll schedule something on the agenda for, some of these don't meet. Well, I haven't even met. I don't even know when the shoreline board's going to meet, so I can't really see for myself. But at least a month goes by, and maybe we'll have, we'll make it part of our council conversation the next time we have one in March. So try to do that before that happens, before the March council conversation. Councilmember McNeil.
Can you remind me, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, remind me who's what liaison?
I can.
I've got it written down right here.
We got Councilmember Agnew. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, look, you got it written nice and handy. Arts Board, we've got Councilmember Agnew. Landmark Preservation Board, we got Liam. Library Board, we have nobody. LTAC, we have Gene. I'm not supposed to be saying their first names. Parks and Recreation Board, Councilmember McAuliffe. And then the Planning Commission is Deputy Mayor. And I'm the Shorelines Board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Okay. City Clerk, how are we doing over there?
We are doing really well. I'm happy to announce that for the first time in 5 years, we've gone one round and everybody's been appointed. So me too. So I'm going to read the names and the number of votes they each got. For Arts, Kelly Atkinson received 7 votes and Elizabeth Byrne received 7 votes. So that is appointed. Landmark, Vicky Sampi received 7 votes. Derek Shelton received 7 votes, and Ray Thomas received 7 votes. Library Board, Nadia Mustafa received 7 votes, and Samantha Woodward-Lada received 4 votes. We had 2 appointments there. LTAC, Brittany Caldwell, who's the incumbent, received 7 votes. Catherine Lawley received 7 votes. Parks and Recreation. Do you want me to read all of them who got how many votes, or just the ones that got the majority?
Probably just who's got appointed.
Okay. Kailash Mandel received 5 votes. Adam Stacy received 6 votes, and Jennifer Lutz received 4 votes. Then on Planning Commission, David Vliet received 7 votes. He's the incumbent. Karsten Kurd received 6 votes, and Brad Heistrup received 6 votes. A majority of council members' votes, council members present, is needed for appointment.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I need a motion to ratify those.
Is there a motion to ratify the appointments to the boards and commissions?
So moved.
There we go. It's moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councilmember Agnew to ratify the boards and commission members. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, place for vote.
I want a discussion.
All right.
I just want to thank everyone who submitted themselves to the grueling interview and being to serve our community. And I hope anyone who didn't get appointed is not too disappointed, and that they try again, because we're always looking for great people, and unfortunately we always have to make choices, but there were some great candidates that didn't make it. So please consider re-upping or trying again next year.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All right, place for vote. Passes unanimously. So we are on to the last item, right? Yep, last item for tonight, AB 19-020, letter of support for King County Metro Transit North Eastside Mobility Project. And we have Mr. Gong here to present.
All right, good evening, Mayor, council members. Sherman Gong here, City Transportation Planner. Tonight, I'd like to just offer you a brief summary of the Metro Northeast Side Mobility Project. Looking for council support of the proposed transit service revisions as a result of that effort. It's coordinated between city staff, members of 5 Eastside cities, and Metro staff. Just a little bit of background on the project. It was, you might recall this from a couple of council meetings that were, where there were presentations done by Metro staff previously. This project is a setup towards the Metro Connect's long-range plan, which is a 2040 plan. Not fully funded yet, but this is a small part of that will lead into some of the improvements that are identified in that plan. The coordinated cities that are involved in the Northeast Side project include the city of Bothell, Kirkland, Redmond, Woodinville, and Kenmore. These revisions are a result of reinvestment of available funds due to service reductions of SR 520 routes that have been reduced due to light rail uses in the city that is going to consolidate and move some of that transit trips that are normally going all the way downtown to just stop at the University of Washington Stadium and then have people transfer onto the light rail to do that. Namely Route 255, which serves from Bothell into Seattle. As I mentioned, there were 2 council briefings previously where some of these plans were introduced. One was at the initial public outreach session, and then second public outreach when the draft plan revisions were introduced. The majority of these mobility solutions are to focus on improving speed and reliability in a coordinated plan for all the 5 cities, including Bothell. The proposed service revisions are scheduled to be implemented in March of 2020. They include Route 238, which will be replaced by routes 225, 230, 231, 239, and 250. The map that you see here kind of gives you just a conceptual graphic to show you where those connections and where these routes are going to be and how they affect Bothell. Route 230 is a brand new route, which is represented by that kind of light blue line that goes from Bothell to City of Kirkland, and will serve downtown Bothell, UW Bothell to Juanita Village and downtown Kirkland via Juanita Way and 100th Avenue Northeast, which does not have local transit service on it right now. The Route 243 is a peak service route that serves from Kenmore to Overlake through Bothell, and that will be replaced by a new Route 239, which is sort of represented by that the green line there, from Kenmore to Totem Lake, and requires a transfer to DART Route 930, which is a dial-a-ride transit to take you to Totem Lake. Takes you from Totem Lake to Overlake. The Route 239 is not a peak service route; it is an all-day route. So we're gaining additional frequency and flexibility from those two, from the combination of those 2 routes. The revisions of the to the Route 255, though, will require one transfer for anybody riding that to get to Seattle, which will require you to make a service transfer at Totem Lake or Juanita Village or downtown Kirkland Transit Centers. And the final improvement will be a new non-fixed route defined area service called the Community Ride Program, which will serve Bothell and Woodinville. These all four of these improvements are improvements for and will serve as a benefit to the city of Bothell residents, in the staff's opinion. This is included, but I'm not going to get into the details of it, is some of the proposed future restructure of those service routes. I do want to talk about the community ride service plan, though. The Bothell Woodinville service plan is shown in the kind of the red shaded area. It is a weekend service only program and will operate between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. This focuses on the Bothell Hotels and Woodinville Tourism District. This was as a result of public input during the public outreach process. And then the other community ride service plan is for the kind of the black line shaded area in the North Kirkland and Kenmore service area. That is a weekday service only, and operates between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., focusing more on access to Bastyr University, Juanita Village, and general transit access for the like that Finn Hill area, which doesn't have a lot of fixed route service through there. So based on all those recommendations that came out of this process with Metro staff and working through that, and we are recommending as staff to include the downtown Bothell area as an overlap for both the Bothell Woodinville service area for the community ride, and in the north and in the north to extend it into the North Kirkland and Kenmore community ride service area as well. We feel there's a good economic benefit to include that area based on our population density that's growing here in downtown Bothell, and it would just it would benefit everybody that part be expanded into there. And that was not part of their original draft plan, and we are requesting that as part of our letter of support from council. So with that, we are asking council to approve our letter of support for submittal to King County Council for their vote coming up here shortly. And if you have any questions, that's I've included a picture here of what that community ride vehicle will look like that transports you. It's not a van, it's a little nicer, a little bigger, and can hold a few more riders. With me is Grace Carlson, Metro Service Planner, that very instrumental in pulling this all together. So if you have any questions, be welcome to answer them for you.
I have one quick question. I don't have a copy of the letter to sign. Is that, it's not in my packet, is that, you just use the electronic one? Is that kosher?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Any other questions, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you for the presentation. This is really exciting. I'm questioning, I guess, a little bit how it works. So the dial-a-ride, do we know how much in advance you need to call and set up those rides, or how that works? Just a little more detail would be great.
Dial-a-ride in general, my understanding is in normal dial-a-ride programs, you have to kind of get like 2 hours advance. But for example, the city of Shoreline just implemented a community ride service to supplement evening transit service, and that was eliminated from their area, and it doesn't require anything. There's no advance reservations or anything on their community ride program that I'm aware of. So
Probably the earlier you make the reservation, the more likely you're going to get it on time, I would imagine, because they have to drive from someplace.
yeah, I would imagine, but it's not a requirement in their program, so I'm not, at the end of the day, those details, I guess, will. Understand, okay.
Will you repeat that into the mic?
Do you mind going up to the dais so we can hear you?
Okay. Sorry.
Appreciate it. No worries. The dial-a-ride service and the community ride service are actually two separate services. The dial-a-ride is a fixed route service. It runs on a timetable and it runs on a particular route. What makes it different is that in certain parts of that alignment is a service area. So if somebody is in that service area and they say, hey, I want to get picked up and run on your route, they have to call for that custom service in advance. But you can follow the 930 and the 931 are both DART services that we already have running in this area, and they run on a fixed schedule and they run a fixed route unless somebody calls and asks the bus to deviate to pick them up.
Okay, that's what I was not understanding.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it can get really confusing. With the the community ride, that is sort of like Metro's answer to Uber or Lyft, where somebody can either call or use an app on their phone and say, I'd like to get picked up at, near my place of business or where I live, and I want to get taken to this place, and it has to be within this defined service area.
So the maps that are in the packet with the hatch marks are those the maps for community ride or dial-a-ride?
Those maps are for the community ride.
Okay.
Yeah, the DART service is only for the service revisions that I pointed out, that we're replacing some of the fixed route service that we had previously.
Okay. And so the amendment that you're suggesting is to expand the area for community ride.
That's right.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, I just didn't quite understand that, but
Sorry, that's my fault, trying to go too fast.
No. Probably I read too fast. No, that's really exciting, and I appreciate your attention to detail and making those suggestions. So thank you.
I think it's very, very coincidental that we are doing with this tourism.
I know, it's really exciting.
This is really, I told Danae about this program, and she was very excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fabulous. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
There we are. Councilmember McAuliffe.
I just have one request. I'm really impressed with what these routes are. However, when I look at your presentation, you have it in color, and I have it in black and white, and I wondered if you could provide me with a color copy so I could really define it better.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, there we go. Councilmember Olson.
So with the community ride, is it a same fare as like a Metro bus or using a Orca card or?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Easy.
Councilmember Zorns.
Just a quick question that I don't think is germane to what you're asking us to sign off, but you had mentioned that they're reducing the 520 routes. Is that right?
Yes, I'm going to let Grace expand on
The only 520 route that will change through this proposal is the 255, and that we were able, if we have the 255 reorient to the UW Link light rail station, we're able to harvest the service hours that we save of that route going all the way into downtown Seattle, and that's what has financially enabled us to put all these service improvements back into the Northeast Side network.
So you're modifying that portion of the 520 route?
The 255, we're suggesting that it reorient to UW Link Light Rail Station, and we're also shortening its north tail. So some of the trips go to Brickyard Park and Ride today. Right. And under the proposal, Totem Lake would be the last north stop, and it would be consistent all the time. It's been confusing for riders. They can accidentally get on the wrong 255 and end up at Brickyard when they meant to go to Totem Lake or vice versa.
Right, okay. All right, thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions, I believe, is there a motion?
Second.
That's good. Councilmember Cole makes the motion, seconded by, who is that over here? Deputy Mayor, to approve me to sign off on the letter to King County Council in approval of their plan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we're not done voting yet. We might vote this down, dude. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, go ahead and place your vote. There we go. Pass. There we go. Now you can take us. Passes unanimously. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
And with your permission,
sorry.
I just want to acknowledge Sherman has been a true partner in every sense of the word. He's been very faithful about coming to meetings and following all this things as it has evolved, and really appreciate his input and his participation, his engagement. I think we have a better proposal because of his involvement.
Yeah, we know he's awesome. Don't tell other cities they'll steal him. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilmember McNeil, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion? Good. Pass your vote. Passes, wow, somebody didn't even bother to vote. Passes 5 in the affirmative, 1 no vote, and Councilmember Agnew. What is that? Is that an abstention, I guess? Councilmember Agnew in the negative. We're adjourned.